Alright, time to take a break from customs and play some Turtle Pack. We're going back to our roots. And actually today I guess we're going to play a unit that doesn't really have anything to do with our SAP roots because it was not in the game way back at the beginning, and that is the Wolverine. So I'm not exactly sure when Wolverine was added to Pack 1. Originally it had a different ability, and then it was adjusted to be a hurt pet instead. So the way it works is that it removes health from the opponents once your own teammates have been hurt enough times. So I think it's 4 times they get hurt, and then it will remove health. It's kind of strange. I feel like it works pretty well in it works well in the team opposite us here, which is Elephant Blowfish. You do tend to see it in either an elephant team or a hedgehog team. But otherwise it's kind of awkward, as we unfortunately get a badger from the spider here, which results in a tie. But I think the more awkward a unit is, the more likely I am to be willing to try and make it work. So that's what we're doing here. Now the goal with this team originally was to have Wolverine, or potentially 2 of them, and then the rest of the team was just going to be spiders. But in practical terms, that was proving pretty difficult. I just wasn't finding enough spiders. And then I ultimately wanted them all to have mushroom as well. Well, except the one at the front. And because you can't get mushroom in turn 11, there were plenty of games where I got to the end and then couldn't find enough mushrooms. But we do get a mushroom here. And I'm also taking deer, of course, one of the better summoning units in this pack. Unfortunately, we lose our newly acquired mushroom, but the spider makes up for it by summoning a sheep. Actually, spider is kind of quite different to the way it used to be way back at the beginning, because a lot of the pets have changed tier. So elephant didn't used to be tier 3, so you couldn't get it out to spider, as we lose the mushroom again. What else was there? Turtle used to be tier 3, so you used to be able to get mid-battle melon from spider, although it wasn't necessarily that common. Another badger here, but we do end up taking the win. Now, yeah, I think here I'm going to take the stake, but then I put the melon on the Wolverine, which basically guarantees that the spider is going to spawn either badger or elephant, which was something that I wasn't even really thinking about originally. But the more I played this, the more it kept happening. A lot of mana on this Chimera, but I don't think it's going to be good enough. Yeah. Although they do summon 3 units, they're not particularly large. Yes, we do get Badger and lose the melon, but we still win. So yeah, the goal here was just to try and play an actual summon team with Wolverine at the back instead of either Shark or Turkey, which is what you tend to see more often. Like I said, I did want the double spider with mushroom, but I just couldn't get it going. I can't remember exactly what happens in this run. Maybe we do get another spider later on. But finding that second mushroom was really a pain. Now this jump attack team does make a big mess of our squad. However, the health reduction from the Wolverine plus the respawns gives us the win. And we're getting close to the level 3 Wolverine, which we do get. Now I did finish all the Turtle Pack achievements quite some time ago. I'll link that video in the description if you want to see it. I don't remember what Wolverine team I actually played in order to get the achievement. I guess I must have already had it from when it had the old ability. It previously worked the same way as Albatross does, where it would buff the snipe pets next to it. Opponent copies our deer, so we're going to lose the melon again, but I still think we're going to be fine. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely played Wolverine more when it had the old ability. I feel like that one made more sense than Turtle because it had more things to work with. But at the same time, I do understand why they moved it to customs. As we face 5 Birds of Paradise from Golden Pack. I'm not sure I've actually had that happen to me before. I've definitely faced multiple Birds of Paradise, but we end up getting 2 sheep from the spider mushroom, which is incredible. I'm not sure if that actually saved us there. I think we might have been in trouble otherwise. But an extremely surprising win for the Mushroom Spider team on turn 16. So we just need 2 more wins, and we still do have 2 hearts left. Strong looking pack 2 team, but this is really what we want to see. You know, we want to see heavily scaled teams that don't have much in the way of abilities. And although the Lionfish has 30 attack here, I think we're going to be able to weather the storm. Yeah, the Wolverine just hangs on, and everything's down to 1 HP, so the bus can clean up. So just 1 more win required, and I'm just going to go for the other level 2 deer. It's kind of funny that we're on turn 18 and I've only found 1 cow so far, which is ridiculous. Kind of regret putting the stake on it. And here's, unfortunately, Elephant Blowfish Tiger, which is something else that was extremely rare in the olden days, because both Blowfish and Elephant have been changed in the meantime. But of course it's going to completely decimate our summoning team. And we're down to our last heart. We do get the level up on the deer. And we finally find another cow. But yeah, the level 1 milk isn't so great on turn 19. And then look at this, after facing the 5 birds of paradise, what's worse than that? Well, 4 team spirits plus behemoth. And although we have a ton of summons here, we do not get double sheep. And so we're not going to have enough summons to reduce their health down. It would actually be interesting to be able to run that back and see what would have happened if we had just 1 sheep. Maybe it would have taken 2 to actually win. Alright, next game, again, we're going for a Wolverine build. And after playing for the spider build quite a lot, I decided to kind of relax the requirements and pick some different units that I could mix and match. Oftentimes you can find if you're trying to force one particular team, you just waste a lot of time because you don't find enough of those units early. You know, if it's turn 7 or 8 before you find your first spider, the run's probably not going to pan out the way you wanted it to. So here I decided to take crab and sheep. 2 of my least taken units, I would say, in turtle. Crab actually has a new ability as well, so it no longer sets its health, which it used to do, so you could end up losing health if you'd scaled the crab. Now it gains a percentage from a teammate. So here we have it starting at 15 health, so it's always going to go up from there, whereas previously it could actually go lower. So quite a good quality of life change for crab, I think. We could be in trouble here because the crane gets to activate. Okay, it's going to be a draw. But you can see the crab at the back there. You know, it's a 6-3 turning into a 6-10. And we get the level 3. Level 2 skunk. Now, there are some pets in Turtle Pack that I think, their value has never really gone down. They're still just as strong as they were way back, and skunk is one of them. I feel like there are always units in certain packs that if you're going to try and make an awkward build work, it just makes your life so much easier if you can work those pets into the team. So having skunk here gives us quite a lot of leeway because it means that we're very unlikely to lose to the one big unit teams that you often see, like hippo or rhino. Oftentimes there'll be like big bison at the front with snake behind it or something to that effect. Actually rare mushroom Nessie team on the opposite side. There was a time when you would get maximum value from Nessie in both summons, but thankfully that's over. And actually here, I think the sheep positioning is wrong. It was deliberately wrong in the previous turn because of turtle, but we're going to change the positioning now, so we should get all 4 rams now that it's closer to the back. We do face level 3 hatching chick and butterfly, but the crab hangs on and is going to knock the lionfish out through the melon. So you can easily see that the mushroom sheep is going to have enough. Level 2 Wolverine. And I'm going to freeze the pill for Mammoth next turn. Mammoth has always been one of my favourite units, and I think way back at the beginning people really undervalued it. and it's rightly considered a top tier unit now. This is kind of scary looking. The melon gets removed from the Wolverine by the tomato on the beluga. They get 50 trumpets, but we do have a lot of summons from the sheep here. The question is the grizzly going to hit the Wolverine? Actually, I guess it didn't matter either way. We didn't have quite enough there. So I freeze the crocodile, but then I roll another skunk, so we're going to take that instead. Yeah, level 1 crocodile is not likely to kill anything on turn 15, so I think better just making sure if we get matched with a team like this that has a lot of large units. Unfortunately, because of the post woodpecker buffs, we avoided taking the stats down on the fairy armadillo, but we win by 1 HP, so that was a 1 HP loss followed by a 1 HP win. We get the level 3 Wolverine, and then I just take the gold efficient meat bone on the crab. And it's a pack 2 team with double coconut. So both of the skunked units are protected. But again, the mushroom sheep, although we miss out on all the damage, it's going to help us get enough hits in to reduce their stats, and the Wolverine cleans up. So a pretty atypical looking team there, and quite pleased with the way that one turned out. But can we do any better than that? And I was pretty confident I could if I just spent a bit more time on this. One of the obvious things, the more you play Wolverine, the more you realise that it makes a lot of sense with Elephant. And playing those spider games, there were a lot of rounds where the spider would spawn an elephant, and then it would hit the teammate behind, and that counts for the Wolverine. So why don't we just deliberately play an elephant team? But in order to spice it up a bit more, we're not going to play blowfish or camel. I guess technically you could play peacock as well, but what we're going to do is we're going to play elephant with rhino behind it. So the elephant's ability, instead of triggering a hurt pet, all it's going to be, the only purpose of it is to trigger the Wolverine. And actually, I think this is more effective than you would think it would be. It's strange. I guess it's been so long now that Elephant Blowfish has been one of the mainstays in the game, both in customs and in Turtle, that it's hard to kind of separate the two of them. But with the addition of Wolverine, you definitely can make something happen with Elephant and basically any other unit you want. Now, I had a few different attempts at this with different pets behind the elephant. Like I had elephant with a crab. So the crab is obviously going to gain a very high amount of health, so it's not so worried about taking the damage from elephant. But ultimately, I think rhino is a better choice, because if the Wolverine is reducing the health on the opposing units, then the rhino can potentially get a knockout chain after the elephant faints. So we bring the rhino in and level up. We don't get Wolverine this time. I do take the mammoth though, and then we immediately pill it, and I think I'm just going to take the pair instead of the second mammoth. I think on turn 11 trying to get 2 pills in rapid succession probably isn't worth the freeze. Another pack 2 team. We do lose the dolphin, but I think we're going to be okay. Yeah. Now, garlic is a little bit weaker than it used to be, but I still think it's very strong and perfectly takeable. Another cow to help with the cat. Now, I mentioned earlier with skunk that it's one of those units that really makes more creative teams possible to actually win with. Well, cat is definitely another one on that list. So initially here I'm going to play elephant with cat behind it. But once I've put a bit more stats onto the rhino, I think we'll switch things round. Now here is a new Star Pack team with Shima and Aga in it. It's kind of weird seeing a customs only pet getting migrated over to statics, but I think it's worked out pretty well for other units in the past, so be interesting to see how that one goes. Now here the elephant is actually going to end up knocking out the rhino, although it doesn't really matter in the end because we're going to win regardless. I don't think level 3 dolphin is going to be necessary. Perfect hits from the pizza. I could have taken that chili actually, but looks like we're just going to freeze the dolphin. I'm sure I'm going to give up on this dolphin though. And since we're in the mood for playing things a bit unorthodox, we're actually going to take Mushroom Rhino. Because technically the Rhino could get a knockout even with it only having one attack, because everything has been reduced by the Wolverine. Now I think probably we would need a higher level Wolverine for that to happen. But with 3 hearts intact, there's a decent chance we could lose the next couple of rounds. I think here we're going to lose, a lot of hits onto that. Sabertooth is going to spawn 2 big mammoths. Level 3 elephant would be a good upgrade as well. And now that we've used the cat trigger, I'm going to bring in another rhino, give us a second chance at getting the knockout chain. Quite a heavily scaled jump team from a unicorn pack. So the elephant's only going to get one sequence of one extra set of hearts, but we are still going to win. Mostly off the back of the cat scaling, I think. Level 2 Wolverine, again with only 1 roll. Very, very lucky. And we're just hoping for some perfect opponents on the other side. It would be nice to face some big stats instead of summons. And it's actually a very big roll team from Unicorn. The first Rhino does get a knockout chain, but unfortunately they have both Nessie and Hydra. And I think the one-up Rhino did get a knockout, but clearly not enough. So that takes us down to 1. And I think here I'm going to take the chili, although we rolled past the first one. I'm just going to take the second chili on the weaker Rhino. And it's another Unicorn team with Hydra. It's actually Equi, and it's a Chimera team. So this Chimera is going to get a ton of mana from the Kitsune. But the 5 health on the Hydra head means that we do get the Rhino knockout chain. And the second Rhino is going to knock out the Chimera Lion, and we barely win. I think if that was level 3, either Kitsune or Chimera, we could have been in big trouble there. Now let's just look at some other random clips that happened while I was going for these runs. Here's one where I was trying to... I also wanted to try and get Mushroom Rat involved somehow. And so here, this was what I was setting up for here. And it's going to result in a painful 1 HP loss on turn 12. And then here's another one where we've got Rat, and we've had incredible levels of scaling from the Rabbit. A lot of the time this was an issue that I was encountering where I would end up winning too quickly because you'd hit the scaling high roll, and there you can see with the double Wolverine and then a ridiculous amount of stats from the Rat and the Crab. We swept that team aside. Similar idea here where we do have the spider and the sheep, and it's turn 13, but you can see, look at the stats on the spider and the sheep. That was cow plus cat. If you get the early level 2 cat, it's just game over. So unfortunately that one actually was too strong for its own good. No mushrooms in sight either. And then here is one with double spider. This was the best one that I had with 2 spiders. And you can see that we don't have the second mushroom. It's melon on the other one. And yeah, the Wolverine health reduction is going to counteract the damage blocking of the armadillo. And we win there. Alright, this next one is going to be a little bit of a guessing game. So pause the video here and then comment below whether or not you think this is a win for me, a win for my opponent, or a tie. Alright, what did you guess? This is one of the weirdest battles I've had in some time for a static pack. I mean, you do get crazy battles in customs quite often, but here the Rhino triggers and knocks out the Wolverine. But then the Rat has Mushroom, so we give them a bunch of extra triggers, and then we get Badger from the Spider. Any other pet except Badger there, and I win, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be.